Hey, what is going on, everybody? Max here from the Mama's Legacy, and this is our third month anniversary special. We've been on YouTube for about a month and a half, but we started out on Spotify, if the OGs remember. But today here I'm joined with Reek. What's up, Reek?
What's good? Happy 3 months to my guys, man.
I appreciate it. And our co-host here, Jay. What's good, Jay?
What's good?
So today we're going to be breaking down, in our opinion, some of the biggest busts in NBA history. And well, since you're our guest here, Reek, why don't you go first with who you think some of the biggest busts are?
All right, man. The first guy I want to mention is somebody who, when he got drafted, I thought he was better than the number one pick in this class, and that is Jabari Parker. I know he did have two torn ACLs, but I still feel like there was a time for him to really excel in the league, and he just really didn't do that. I feel like he's somebody also kind of a combo forward. We were talking before the show about another player that was a combo forward, but Jabari was kind of somebody that, didn't really do much on the defensive side of the ball, which definitely hurts him, still hurts him to this day with the Celtics. But offensively speaking, that's one of the most gifted players I think I've seen at the college level, and it just didn't really translate to the league as much. I know injuries did have a big part in that, but at the same time, he had the opportunity in Milwaukee and in several other places too. So that's one of the guys I think is one of the biggest, busts in recent memories.
All right. Well, I mean, that's definitely interesting. I had Jabari Parker. I thought he was going to form the big three with Middleton and Giannis, but that never developed. Jay, who is one of your first guys that you have for biggest busts?
I'd say that one of the biggest busts of all time, if we're ordering it, is just like pure disappointment and people before and all that type of stuff. Sam Bowie is one of the most interesting cases. He was the guy who was drafted before Jordan, and well, I mean, if you're drafted before Jordan, you probably have to play at a godlike level to not be considered a bust. But Sam Bowie was interesting because the entire thing that he did that made it unique is that before he got drafted, he lied that he wasn't injured because his entire thing was that he had back injuries or back end like injuries. May I correct myself? And he lied that he didn't have it anymore, so he got drafted to the Trailblazers. And he was actually like in college and all that type of stuff. He was actually a very good player, but the thing that held him back is that only a few days into playing, he broke his leg, and Clyde Drexler, who was on the team at that time, basically said it was really, really horrific to see because the bone like came out of his like knee, which is kind of disgusting. But another thing that's like is the people who was drafted before him. One of the most notable, prominent point guards, one of the like best playmakers of all time. John Stockton was drafted way before Sam Bowie was.
All right. Well, Sam Bowie was definitely up there. I mean, I always thought it was interesting that he lied about his injury instead of, telling them and then maybe having it looked at, worked with, and cared for. But that I definitely thought that was interesting. But one of my first guy, Darko. I think you guys have all heard him brought up in bus conversations thousands of times, being drafted ahead of Melo, Wade, and Bosch. I don't think he's as big as a bust as everybody says because he was drafted to a team that was already really solid. They won the championship the year they drafted him. So it's not like they drafted him to rely on him and be an instant boost to the team. So I wasn't too heavy on him being a terrible player after his first year. I really thought he would get better after his first year, but you know, 1.4 points a game is terrible. And then if you only boost it up to 1.8, I think it's really bad. Now, I will say, I think he was one of, when he played healthy, I think he was one of the best shot blockers the league's seen for a while. I mean, he would average 2 blocks a game quite often. Uh, I think his best year was in Orlando. He averaged 2.1 blocks a game, if I remember correctly. And he was just a solid defensive presence, but he could never get that shot down, nor could he get the consistency in the post, blah, blah, blah. And the biggest problem with him was his ego. It was fragile yet huge. Uh, he would throw parties all the time in Detroit because he thought he was the shit. They won the championship. Unfortunately, he wasn't. He got carried. We all know this, but I really think he's one of the more interesting busts that we've had come in and out of this league, mainly because of how good he thought he was and how he wouldn't work for anything and his attitude towards everybody else. I think I think he's like one of the top 5 to 10 biggest busts ever. But Reek, who do you think the second? Who's your second guy for biggest bust?
Well, before that, I was gonna ask you guys. Like, I think both of the players that you picked were very good in this conversation, but they both had like similarities. Do you think like because of who they were drafted with makes it seem a lot worse, or just as a whole, their careers just didn't live up to their expectations? Because they were drafted with some heavy hitters like Michael Jordan, LeBron were in each of those draft classes. Like that's some big shoes to live up to.
Well, to be perfect. Oh, my bad. You go ahead.
I'll
Jay.
let you go first. No,
Oh, all right.
I'm chivalrous.
All right. Well, I don't think it. I don't think it was really the team he got drafted to. Well, actually, no, it was the team he got drafted to in Darko's case. I think if you went to a team that was fighting to even make the playoffs, I think he would have upped his worth ethic to try and be the guy to take the team over. But being drafted into Detroit, who was a championship caliber roster, I think he just got kind of lazy and figured he didn't need to work that hard to get where he wanted to go. And I think that was the start of derailing his career. And I think that boosted his ego and made it really fragile at the same time. Jay, what were you going to say?
In relation to the draft class here, it's one of the hardest things. I'm pretty sure most of us have probably watched that one Jimmy High Roller video where he basically, gives you 3 options to pick, and then you pick one of them, and boom, one's Giannis, one's like Otto Porter, things like that. Mm-hmm. Most people have seen that video, and most people realize that or as long as you like read into it, it's really hard to draft people. You have to have a very peak type of hindsight to see someone. But at the same time, with the power of, today, where like we can always just look back at something and compare it and all that. The players that a player is drafted with is still like, it leaves such an impact on someone's legacy, because there's always the what if question. And that's one of the most popular questions of the century. What if the Titanic didn't sink? What if, the Cold War didn't happen? Stuff like that. And that translates over to basketball in the realm that, what if LeBron was drafted to Detroit? What if Darko fell to the second round? Things like that. So when you compare players that, came before or after, I'm pretty sure, didn't Damian Lillard get drafted before who's your guy again, Max?
Darko?
No, not Darko.
Derek Williams.
Yeah, Derek Williams. I'm pretty sure Dame got drafted somewhere before that. If I'm not wrong.
Those were different draft classes.
Yeah.
Sorry. Well, my bad. But dang it, now I look like an idiot. But a lot of times, like, you can look at the draft classes and the rosters and stuff, and you can say, it's like so easy to say, like, this person got drafted before this person. And it's still a valid argument, because, well, just because, they didn't pan out a certain way doesn't mean that they aren't criticizable because they didn't pan out that way, So it's a fair statement to say that one person is a bit more of a bust than another because of the place that they were in.
I mean, that's fair. I think the draft class definitely has something to do with it. But there's always a story behind why and where they get drafted. So, I mean, like, think of it. Kawhi Leonard, he didn't get drafted by the Suns because he sweated too much. So it's stuff like that makes you go, okay, well, what the hell were they thinking? But Rick, do you think Jabari Parker was maybe changed because of the situations he was thrown into?
I mean, yeah, because they had Giannis, and they just had a weird structure in Milwaukee at the time. I think like they were trying to be a team that was running like 6'6" and above at every position. And we see Giannis today. Trying to play him and Jabari together would have ended up being a nightmare, because Jabari defensively is just, he's not it. Like, we can admit that he's not it defensively. So yeah, I think like y'all said, when drafting a player, it's really a lot of different variables that go into it. And, fit is a big one. And, some of these players just didn't really fit in and where they were picked at. I think, we can say that for a lot of guys, but I mean, like we said, hindsight is 2020 and it's easy to dissect it now. But at the time, the teams probably thought that they were doing the best thing possible.
Yeah, definitely. Well, assuming that, then we'll also ask the question after you say your second guy. Who's the second bust you guys you got, Tyrique?
Man, this one's kind of personal. This guy won Rookie of the Year, but then his organization really failed him, and it's Tyrique Evans. Had one of the best rookie seasons in like the last 15 years, averaged 25-5 for his rookie year. Rookie class that had like James Harden, Steph Curry. Blake Griffin was injured that year, but he had a pretty good rookie class. And then the next season, the Kings decided that, you know what, let's take Tyrique Evans off the ball and let's play him at the shooting guard when he's, never played off the ball in his life. And he just won Rookie of the Year playing point guard. So that really just kind of derailed his career altogether. He was able to rebound somewhat in New Orleans, help them reach the playoffs once or twice. And then after that, I mean, not really too much. I know he had like another good scoring season in Memphis when Memphis wasn't that good. And then he pretty much fell out the league for reasons that I'm not going to specify because he's down bad for sure. But that's just a career that has so much potential and just failed miserably, mainly because of the Sacramento Kings, though, for sure.
I wouldn't say that's the main reason why his career failed. I think you could say it's the main reason why he's out the league. But before we move on real quick, technically he can get reinstated now. It has been 3 full years. So
it's been that long.
Yeah, it's been 3 years now. So technically he can get reinstated back into the league. So maybe he can come off your bust list if somebody decides to take the chance with him.
Hey, man, that's my guy. We got the same name and stuff, but I was highly disappointed in that decision. But I'm also just disappointed in how his career went as a whole, because like I said, that's somebody who had so much like elite all-star potential early on. And, the situation that he was thrown in once again was a pretty poor one, because we've seen Sacramento as another team that's not very good at managing great talent.
Yeah, no, Sacramento, I think, is one of the top teams to ruin a player's career, derail it, waste talent. You saw what they did with DeMarcus, wasted his prime years. Tyrique taking him off the ball. I mean, I loved him coming into the league, and I did honestly think he would not run the league. I think he was going to be a very solid, consistent all-star player, but unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Jay, who was your second bust?
My second bust is a little bit interesting because he wasn't taken very high, but Thon Maker is my second player for biggest bust. Now, so the expectations that he had makes it reasonable for him to be like a top bust, even though he wasn't taken too high in the draft, because Thon Maker was thought to be like pretty much what Bol should have been, or what people thought Bol was in the bubble, because Thon Maker is a pure 7 foot. He's very skinny to the point where it just looks incredibly weird. Thon Maker, he actually shot threes in college. He was not in college, high school. He was actually a pretty okay point guard. He could dribble, all that type of stuff. And one of the biggest, I guess, things that was about him is that KG personally endorsed him and said that he would be a top 5 center in the league at some point. The thing with Thon is that he got into Detroit, and you explained before how bad Detroit is.
Yes.
And his game just kind of doesn't pan out to that level because Thon just doesn't have an inside game that works at all. Like, to the point where, he's pretty much like Porzingis, but can't knock his shots down, but also just can't really do anything spectacular, or even not even spectacular. Just, he can't do anything mediocre. He can't really finish around the rim. I don't even think he has that many dunks throughout his entire career. And he's just like, for someone who was praised so highly and someone who coaches really wanted, because they thought, he could be a unicorn since, 7 foot shooting, ball handling, that type of stuff. It's just disappointing to see how his career's been so far. He's only been he was picked in the 2016 draft, and he's only 24. So, well, we think he's 24, but so technically he still has a lot of potential left. He could be a late bloomer through his career, but so far he's been disappointing. He's not lived up to any expectations, and well, honestly, he's just, when you look into that 2016 draft class, you just kind of have to think he should have been a second rounder at best.
Definitely. I mean, I think we've all seen the meme of his 31 minutes played with 0 in every single stat line.
Yep.
I think everybody's seen that one. I think he actually reminds me a lot of Kwame Brown for the reasons that they can't do anything. Now that might be a little bit.
Did you see the screens I was setting? Are you not entertained?
Hey, you're not wrong. I mean, Kobe wouldn't have been Kobe without Kwame Brown. Let's be honest for a second. But in all seriousness, I don't think Maker can do anything really right. I think he's a bit boneheaded, if I may say. He just looks. He just looks lost out there when he plays, and he looks like he doesn't have any coordination with what he's doing. He has no plan. He just kind of makes stuff as he goes, and it doesn't go well for him.
Is he even in the league anymore?
I think he got cut by Cleveland, because if you remember in the preseason, Thon Maker was actually like him and Isaac Okoro were just going off, and then regular season comes and then he just dips. Also about Sacramento, I wanted to include this one player because I thought this would be interesting. Ben McLemore on Sacramento. Do you think he would have been a better player if he was drafted anywhere else but, well, that Minnesota and Detroit?
Yes, anybody that's drafted anywhere but Sacramento will be a better player, I think.
I'm saying that because in Houston, Houston pretty much like when Benny Mac was in Houston, he was actually what he was supposed to be. He was a really good shooter. I mean, not to like a all-star caliber. Like he definitely wasn't the Ray Allen he was supposed to be, but he averaged like a solid 10 points with 0 defense on 40% from 3. So exactly what he was, said to be. So I think if he had a chance on a team that wasn't Sacramento, if he got drafted to any other team, even the Lakers, he would have at least had like some credibility or something that he could have worked with.
I forgot the Ray Allen comparison, bro. I really forgot. That.
Yeah, because they have somewhat similar jump shots. Well, at least they did in college. He's kind of changed it up now, but I really think that Ben McLemore could have been better if he was just drafted in the right place. But you can say that about everyone we talked about so far.
Hey, Kansas be producing some buzz, man, because him, y'all remember Thomas Robinson?
Oh, yes.
My goodness. I think he got drafted to the Kings too.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, the Kings will take talent and turn it into nothing.
Marvin Bagley.
Hey, I was gonna have Marvin Bagley, but I'm like, it's still kind of early in his career. I'm not gonna do it to him.
Yeah, I was thinking about Dennis Smith Jr. before we did this video, and
oh my goodness.
But I think okay. One addition that I wanted to add that I thought of earlier, I think it's clear now that Frank Ntilikina is officially a bust.
Frankie Nicotine.
Is that fair to say?
For sure.
Yeah, no, that's more. I mean, the Knicks have taken quite. What's his name? Knox. He's a bust.
I was gonna say him too.
We knew his career was over
Fortnite
as soon
gamer.
we knew his career was over as soon as he wore the Fortnite suit. We knew.
I mean, at least Josh Hart plays Fortnite and doesn't. He's not ass.
Facts. He produces at least.
He rebounds. Kevin Knox
he don't even play.
As Russell Westbrook just said, he ain't doing shit but running.
Bro, I ain't seen Kevin Knox play since his rookie year.
Well, they told him to burn. They told him to burn the suit. He wouldn't. Now he lost his playing time. There's tons of people that we probably could have included, but I think we got to end it. We got to talk about this last guy. I think all three of us know Derek Williams. He's probably the most interesting out there because especially when taking the account, Minnesota said if they had the first overall pick, they would still pick him over Kyrie. Not a good look anymore. I mean, the most he averaged in the league was 12 points in his second year, and it still wasn't the most efficient scoring. I think it was the least efficient 12 points per game scoring I think I've ever seen. And he didn't really do anything else. I mean, he got 4 rebounds, and that's about it. I was not a big, I was really high on him in Arizona. He made me really question where I would put him in the draft. And at some points, I would look at him and say, hey, he is maybe a top 5 pick. Was I completely sold on him? No, not really. I think he should have taken more time to harness his game before, going second overall. But I was really high on him. And then watching him play, I mean, I know he was drafted into not the best situation. He was drafted to play behind a prime Kevin Love, and the coach hated him. I remember there was this one interaction. He said, hey, coach, because they were living at the same apartment complex, and the coach ignored him and kept on going. So he was doomed from the get-go, and they refused to let him play small forward with Kevin Love. They made him play the backup power forward, which I think really hurt his career, hurt his confidence, and I think that's what started the derailing. And then ever since he left there, he's been kind of on a downward spiral. He did go to New York, and that kind of revived his career. He was dropping 9 points a game in New York, but he was kind of the vocal leader there, but they could not win either. They were in a lottery team when he played for them. And since then, he's just kind of been bounced around the league, played overseas in Spain. He's just been bounced around. But he's probably one of the very few guys I was really high on, and I really thought he was a top 5, and then figured out later down the line he was a big bust. I mean, Reek, what were your thoughts on Tyrique Williams? I know you wanted to talk about him.
Yeah, I was also very high on him as well. I was like 11 years old, but I'm like, there's no way that this dude is not going to be a star player in the league. I think in college he shot like 50% from deep, like 6'9", combo forward. We was talking about before the podcast, like he was kind of ahead of his time because combo forwards weren't, the trend back then, being able to play multiple positions, but he could do that back then. But like you said, the situation in Minnesota wasn't great because they had Kevin Love, who was their all-star already. And then, the coach not really messing with him also plays a big part in that. I mean, that's kind of just bad by management at the same time, too, because if you're investing a top pick in somebody, you got to make sure, like, your coaching staff actually wants this player. And if not, you might have to get a new coach in there, especially if they ain't winning nothing. So, maybe a different situation could have been better for him, but at the same time, he did have a lot of opportunities within the league to make something happen, and it never really panned out for him. Definitely one of the players that I was for sure was a hit, and they missed big time.
Yeah, I think he was one of the biggest misses I've seen. I mean, you could even argue he was up there. No, you can't argue with the Anthony Bennett one. I still think he might be actually the biggest bust of all time, but everybody and their grandma knows that Anthony Bennett's a bust. I didn't think I'd waste the energy talking about that.
I forgot to add one thing about Thon Maker when I was talking about him. So he got drafted in 2016. So literally the year before, Pistons got Drummond, and then the year after Maker was drafted, they got Blake. So that and then they also had a Sekou Doumbouya a few years after. So Maker really just couldn't find like a place in the lineup in general because there were so many bigs on that team, and even then they had Christian Wood. Like they literally had Detroit was literally building just, hey, you want a big man? Go to Detroit. We have a $9.99 rental right here. So yeah, that's one of the other major reasons that Thon Maker never really lived up to potential.
Well, you typically can feel bad for those players. I think it's kind of close to a same thing with Nerlens Noel or Jahlil Okafor. I mean, the fact that let's just say it for Jahlil Okafor, for example, they drafted Embiid the year before that, and they drafted Noel the year before that. Same thing goes for Noel. He got drafted, and they draft big men the next 2 picks in the first round of the drafts. I mean, when you get put in a situation like that, I feel for you. That's why I don't like hating on Okafor as much. And the same thing, I don't like hating on Noel as much because you see him in New York right now. He's not playing at, maybe where he was drafted at, but he's playing at a very solid level. He looks like he belongs in this league. And Okafor, I really hope that he gets another chance in this league because I think he has the talent to do it. He just needs to have the work ethic for it. But with the Pistons, they just wanted a big man every year. I think they were eventually going to try and run big man 1 through 5 on the court, but that hasn't worked for Detroit, and that's why they look like probably the worst rebuilding team in the league right now.
Didn't I could have swore
And the craziest.
I could have swore Thon Maker got drafted to Milwaukee.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm pretty sure.
But he got drafted by Milwaukee, but got traded like very quickly after to Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he got traded before the season really got underway.
I remember him in a Bucks uniform. Like
he was in a Bucks uniform. Him and Tony Snell were both in Bucks uniforms, and they basically just look like brothers.
Let me make. I gotta pull this up. I gotta make sure. Hold up, because now you're making me really think. He did. Oh no, he spent his first couple of years in Milwaukee. He spent his first 3 seasons playing for Milwaukee. Then he went to Detroit for 2 years, and then he went to Cleveland. He only played how many games did he play? He only played 8 years this year in Cleveland. Then he was released. So he's not in the league, and it doesn't look like he's going to be in the league again when the most you average is 5 points a game.
He ain't done nothing.
Well, you saw the stat line. That's basically sums up his career too.
I'm looking at
what's crazy is that he averages about as many turnovers as he does blocks.
That is crazy. How are you that tall and you can't get a block? Ooh, looking at these stats make me feel like he definitely should be up on this list.
I'm 5'10" and I could probably run center better than him. Just saying.
Well, you'd probably get a better stat line than 0.00031 minutes. So go for it.
Hey, even Tony Snell averaged 50, 50, 100.
Tony Snell.
Stop sleeping on Tony Snell. He's gonna tear up this league one day. I'm actually a big Tony Snell fan, unironically. So,
hey, shout out to the Tony Snell fan club.
There's not very many of us, but we're here.
But absolutely no shout outs to the Aaron Baines fan club. They
don't exist. Everybody that liked Aaron Baines dipped.
Do they still exist? That's what I was about to say.
I don't think they do. I think
they existed until they got bullied off.
I was about to say, because I ain't seen that Twitter page.
The Aaron Baines fan club. Oh, I remember that. Oh, no shade here, guys. Though, if Aaron Baines' fan page is listening to this, I swear I love you. You're great. But this was really fun breaking down. The bust. I think this calls for a part 2 sometime.
Hey, we just talked about like 5 or 6 dudes that we could have easily had on this list. So
there's there's about 200 you could throw on this list. I definitely think this calls for a part 2 sometime. But again, I want to thank you guys for coming on, celebrating 3 months with Mama's Legacy, and who else to spend it but with you guys. Yeah!
My guys, man, appreciate you for having me again.
Hey, we love having you on, and hopefully I'll be on with you soon, man.
Hey, for sure, we can set that up.
All right, you know who to contact. I'll be right down there.
Yes, sir, my guy.
All right. Well, again, thank you guys for coming on. Thank you for taking the time out of your day, and enjoy the rest of your day, guys.
Make sure to eat a Hershey's bar, because why not?